Good morning, everyone. It's Wednesday, November 18th, coming to you live from Seoul. I'm Kim Mo-gyeon. Before we get started, these are the stories we're following at the top of the hour. A day after South Korea announced to heighten its social distancing level to 1.5, the country remains on high alert as the number of new COVID-19 infections surpassed the 300 mark on Wednesday for the first time since late August. The United States has successfully carried out a test run aimed at destroying an ICBM target with a sea-based missile defense system. The Pentagon says a successful test is a critical milestone for the U.S. defense program. And South Korea's national football team has its 500th international victory after the national team defeated Qatar 2-1 in Austria on Tuesday night. We start our morning newscast with the COVID-19 situation here in South Korea. The number of confirmed COVID-19 cases has surpassed 300 for the first time in almost 3 months. Our Kim Hyun-sing is on the line to give us more details. Now, Hyun-sing, what can you tell us about the latest numbers?
Well, Mo-gyeon, the numbers aren't looking pretty. South Korea on Wednesday reported 313 cases, of which 245 were local transmissions. This is the highest spike the country has seen since late August. On August 29th, the country reported 323 cases, and since then, health authorities have managed to keep the number below 300. But the number of cases has picked up again recently, and after 4 consecutive days of over 200 cases, health authorities on Tuesday raised social distancing measures to 1.5 for the capital region. Should the number of daily infections stay over 300 for a week straight, the distancing measures will be bumped up to level 2. Under level 2, entertainment facilities like bars, clubs, and singing rooms will have to close down. And restaurants and cafes can't serve customers after 9 p.m. except for takeout orders. That's all I have for now, but I'll be back later with the breakdown of these numbers and the routes of transmission. Back to you, Mo-gyeon.
Thank you, Hyun-sing, for that. Do keep us posted. Now, despite strict measures in place across Europe, a number of countries continue to see high numbers of COVID-19 infections and deaths. This includes Italy, which reported over 700 deaths on Tuesday, the highest number since April. Our Lee Seung-jae reports.
Despite strict anti-COVID-19 measures in place, Europe continues to see its number of infections spike on a daily basis. This includes Italy, which reported over 32,000 cases on Tuesday, including 731 deaths. That death toll is the highest single-day figure since April 3rd, when the country was on a full national lockdown. Italy was the first Western country to be hit by the virus and has seen over 46,000 deaths since its initial outbreak in February, the second highest toll in Europe after the UK. Among regions, the northern region of Lombardy, where Italy's financial capital Milan is located, remains the hardest hit, reporting over 8,000 new cases. In France, another grim milestone was reached on Tuesday, as the country surpassed 2 million cases. The country also reported over 1,200 deaths, raising the total death toll to over 46,000. According to France's Director General of Health, an unprecedented number of hospitalizations is being reported. The figure stands at 33,500, including over 4,800 in intensive care. In Turkey, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said Tuesday that the country will impose partial weekend curfews to stem the spread. Movement will be allowed between 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. so as not to disrupt supply and production chains. A partial curfew, which was already in effect for people over the age of 65, has now been expanded to include those under 20, with the exception of those who have to go to work. Cinemas will be closed until the end of the year, while malls, markets, restaurants, and hairdressers can only operate from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. throughout the week, with restaurants only offering takeout. Classes will continue online until the end of the year, while sports will be played without fans. As of Tuesday, Turkey reported over 421,000 cases and 11,704 deaths. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
The World Health Organization's coronavirus envoy believes people should continue wearing face masks for at least another year. Speaking at Political's annual health summit on Tuesday, Dr. David Nabarro forecast it would be impossible to maintain widespread COVID-19 immunity within 12 months. Despite the progress made so far in terms of vaccine development, he stressed that other virus prevention measures, including hand washing and social distancing, will remain necessary for the time being. He also praised successes in East Asian countries promoting self-regulation, but admitted he was skeptical of strengthening restrictions in Europe. The United States has successfully carried out a test run aimed at destroying an ICBM target with a sea-based missile defense system. The Pentagon said Tuesday that the mock ICBM launched from the Marshall Islands was successfully intercepted and destroyed by SM-3 missile fired from a U.S. destroyer out at the sea. A senior Pentagon official described the successful test as a critical milestone for the U.S. defense program. The Pentagon did not specify which country the system is designated to protect the U.S. against. The U.S. is set to begin a withdrawal of its troops from Afghanistan and Iraq. According to the Pentagon on Tuesday, thousands of troops will be removed, leaving some 2,500 in each country. Our Choi Min-jung has a full story.
The Pentagon announced on Tuesday that the U.S. will partially withdraw its troops from Afghanistan and Iraq before President Donald Trump leaves office. This comes after Acting Defense Secretary Christopher Miller confirmed in a Pentagon briefing that U.S. troops in Afghanistan and Iraq will be reduced to 2,500 each. This is a sharp decrease from the 4,500 currently deployed in Afghanistan, and a relatively more modest decline for Iraq, which currently has 3,000 troops. The drawdown in both countries is set to be completed by January 15, 2021, which is less than a week before President-elect Joe Biden takes office.
By January 15th, 2021, our forces, their size in Afghanistan, will be 2,500 troops. Our force size in Iraq will also be 2,500 by that same date. This is consistent with our established plans and strategic objectives, supported by the American people, and does not equate to a change in U.S. policy or objectives.
The latest decision suggests that Trump ran out of time to complete the withdrawal, as he had first promised on Twitter to bring back the troops before Christmas. According to the U.S. National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien, Trump hoped to bring all troops back home by May, though he may no longer have the rights to do so by then. Meanwhile, the announcement has prompted opposition from top Republicans, with some warning against major changes, saying that the withdrawal of troops would be a mistake, undermining security and hurting their allies. In addition, the removal of forces from Afghanistan and Iraq could suggest further withdrawals of U.S. troops in other countries as well. Choi Min-jung, Arirang News.
The ongoing tensions between Republicans and Democrats in the United States seem to have spread into questions over censorship by social media platforms. Republicans are accusing Facebook and Twitter for taking anti-conservative actions during the election period. Lee Kyung-eun has the latest.
Heads of Facebook and Twitter were called to face questions at the Senate on Tuesday over allegations of their anti-conservative bias during the election period. The Republican-controlled Senate's key question, the social media platform's handling of a New York Post article about President-elect Joe Biden. The story, published in October, was about Biden's son Hunter's alleged pursuit of business ties with a Ukrainian energy company, using his connection to the former vice president as leverage. Twitter limited circulation by blocking users from posting links, saying the article is based on content obtained by hacking private information. Facebook also took similar actions, citing a lack of validity. The senators are questioning the legitimacy of Section 230, which grants censorship rights to social media platforms.
And I think there's Republican and Democrat concern about the power that's being used by social media outlets to tell us what we can see and what we can't, what's true and what's not, to the extent that Section 230, in my view, has to be rewritten.
Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg and Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey defended themselves for taking action against misinformation.
More than a year ago, the public asked us to offer additional context to help make potentially misleading information more apparent. We did exactly that, applying labels to over 300,000 tweets.
Altogether, I believe this was the largest election integrity effort by any private company in recent times. This is what people expect of us.
Republicans have frequently accused these platforms of anti-conservative censorship. And the issue has again been sparked as tensions escalate between Republicans and Democrats while the transition of administration remains largely at a standstill. Lee Young-eun, Arirang News.
And in sports, a shame it couldn't have been in front of home fans, but South Korea has notched up their 500th international football victory Tuesday night when they played Qatar Tuesday night in Vienna. As a few members of the squad tested positive for COVID-19, the nation's sports governing body is preparing to bring the group home on a chartered flight. Our Choi Won-jung reports.
500 wins for South Korea's national football team. The milestone came Tuesday in a friendly match against Qatar in Vienna, which South Korea won 2-1. Striker Hwang Hee-chan just needed 16 seconds to put the Taeguk Warriors on the score sheets, breaking the record for the fastest goal in the national team's history in the process. Qatar leveled in the 9th minute, but Hwang Hee-jo netted the winner for South Korea around 25 minutes later. Tottenham's Hotspur star Son Heung-min contributed with the assist for the second goal. However, it was not an easy lead-in for the South Korean squad prior to the match. After 6 South Korean players tested positive for COVID-19 over the weekend, the team was left with a skeleton squad of just 19 players. The match continued under FIFA's COVID-19 regulations that require at least 13 healthy players, including 1 goalkeeper. The Korea Football Association said Tuesday they are preparing to bring the playing squad and the staff home on a charter flight soon. There are currently 6 players and 2 staff members who have tested positive for COVID-19. Except midfielder Kwon Chang-hoon, who returned to his club team in Germany in a quarantine vehicle. The remaining players, 2 staffers, and medical officials will return to Seoul on the charter flight. Despite taking up to 7 days to get permission to fly over Russia and China, the organization is hoping to bring them back as soon as possible. Son Heung-min has already returned to London ahead of Tottenham Hotspur's big home match against Manchester City on Saturday. Choi Won-jung, Arirang News.
Good morning. We are enjoying mild and clean air today thanks to the rain we saw overnight that cleared the dust from the air. Then it's going to rain heavily from this afternoon in the Chungcheongdo and Jeollado provinces. The central region could see more than 100 millimeters of downpours into tomorrow, while other parts of the country could receive 50 to 80 millimeters. Meanwhile, it's very mild for mid-November. In fact, we can expect to have the mildest readings of this season through Thursday, but starting tomorrow evening, we'll feel the winter chill surging in. But again, it's going to be very warm this afternoon. Most regions will see highs over 20 degrees Celsius this afternoon, and the high on Jeju will actually peak at 27 degrees Celsius. Then temperatures will tumble from the 20s to negative territory in just a few days. So be prepared for the cold snap that's heading our way. That's Korea for you, and here's a look at the weather conditions around the world.
And that's a wrap for us at the hour on Arirang News. We'll be back with more of the day's headlines at noon Korea time, so stay tuned. Thank you for watching and goodbye.
Face masks have become an indispensable item today as we live through this COVID-19 pandemic. Now that wearing a mask has become a daily routine, we're seeing both practical and fashionable items that help us use masks more comfortably. One of them is mask straps.
Masks are mandatory at all times, all places. And now, you can make them more practical and trendy with mask straps. Convenient and creative. These straps are a good way to use masks hygienically and avoid losing them, resulting in less waste. When you're using a mask strap, take care not to touch the mask surface when you're hanging around your neck. Also, make sure that the inside does not become contaminated. When you don't have to wear a mask for a long time, instead of keeping it on a strap, fold it so the inner part is not exposed. Mask straps are convenient to use, but they could reduce the effectiveness of wearing a mask if not used properly.